Good afternoon, VV Nation. Welcome to Trending Thursday. Hope everyone's having a great Thursday right now. All right, right says Rains with the first comment in there. Vacation. You on vacation? Right as rain? Hello. Hey, Jake. How are we doing today? Now I'll give everyone a moment. The alert should be hitting, and you're in just a moment here. All right, let's look at the major indices. Let's break this down. The Dow Jones up 600 points. The NASDAQ Composite struggle bus. If you don't already know, it's because of Oracle, right? They missed revenue, bringing back AI spending concerns. Is it justified, right? We'll talk about that a little bit today. Just taking a look at the VectorVest at a glance here, you see the buy-sell ratio has now gone up to 0.95, making its way up a little bit more, right? Now, that's the broad market, right? How can there be a value in an overpriced market? Well, Tabby, you got to find the value, right? Micron, perfect example. I've been talking about that undervalued semiconductor stock for quite a bit on the channel, all right? That's just one example. So tonight, I thought this was a 6 p.m. video. So this afternoon, we're going to dive into some earnings, right? Oracle, obviously, yesterday. Broadcom, after the bell today, right? So if anyone can bring some enthusiasm, it's going to be Broadcom, especially with that partnership with Google. I'll share my only concern here. VectorVest Composite, S&P 500, record territory. Yeah, I see that. The small caps killing it right now. Killing it. It's just tech, right? Tech is in the struggle box. Oracle didn't help, right? If Oracle was able to deliver a little bit better results than some of those expectations, we might not be in this problem, right? Did you see Midgie today? I did not take a look at Midgie today. We can take a look at it, though. We can definitely take a look at it. All right, Joey, let's jump into the VectorVest software, see what's going on in the market today. Now, I will say this. That BSR, 0.95, right? What happens when the BSR gets above 1? Well, obviously, the VVC's got to be higher than the prior day, right? Which we've seen green light after green light after green light. That's not what we're waiting on. What are we waiting on? Especially from our more conservative investors, especially if you want some confidence in this rally that we're getting into. Confirm call. Confirm call, right? That confirm call situation, that's our slower moving market time signal, right? Primary wave, that's the aggressive signal, right? So if you jumped in at that primary wave, I mean, really the BSR, the MTI gave me some optimism there. That's why I liked it. But if you weren't aggressive and you jumped in, just know that was the aggressive signal, right? That's the dip bottom. Maybe tiptoe here and there on some good quality stocks. If you're not an aggressive investor, maybe more conservative. Otherwise, once the confirmed call goes up, and BSR goes above 1, some of those buy-sell ratio concerns I shared with yesterday on the live stream, and obviously with the jump up today, right? We had a little bit of slow grind, but that jump yesterday we saw in the BSR gave me some optimism to today, right? And full disclosure, I've got call options on the Qs that expire today, so I'm hoping for a late day rally, right? Just looking at these suckers. Let's see here. I got, I like the full disclosure. I've got 624 right now. I'm at 41%. We'll see how that goes. We're watching it, right? So hopefully we get a little late day rally. Hopefully Broadcom give us some, confirmation or, in today's back half of the movement, right? So let's jump into some stories real quick I've got for you. Because other than, earnings, obviously, we got Oracle yesterday. We're going to talk about Oracle. Today, Broadcom after the bell, right? But don't forget, especially don't forget, if you've been watching these videos, because Micron is next week. Who didn't know Micron was next week? It's okay. I honestly didn't know it was next week either. I found out yesterday. When I was just looking through the earnings calendar here. I knew it was coming up. I just know it was next week. Keep that on your radar. And tonight's video, it's not all about Micron, but Micron is one of the stocks in the list here. There's a phenomenal, was a phenomenal chart pattern I talked about a while ago. I just want to reiterate it today, right? The reason why, It's because we've actually achieved the target of that price, right? So watch tonight's video. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's a technical chart pattern. Fundamentally, I love Micron. I can see why a lot of investors, traders, flock to Micron. I got a lot of family that owns Micron. Oh, funny story. I don't know, remember a couple weeks ago, I was telling you, I got my mom into Micron, right? We were going to open a third of that position. And I told her, wait for the pullback kind of thing, fill the position. And, she didn't do any of that stuff. She uses a broker. It all filled at once and like 240, right? So I told her not that big of a deal. It's a good quality stock, but mom's holding a lot of Micron. So that being said, I'll always give you the same advice I'll give my mom. And she's an investor, right? So investor, I'm not worried. If you're a trader, short term, watch tonight's video. There's definitely a little bit of a short pattern there. John says, Bill, wow, 4 inches of snow. We had ice last night, black ice on the streets. I don't want no black ice. We saw a flurry Monday, but here in Charlotte, we don't get a whole lot of that stuff. That's probably why I like living here. I put earnings date on VectorVest Portfolio Manager, so I see who's up and coming for earnings. Hey, I'm going to tell you, John, that is some key advice there. Especially if these are large holding, any holding really. Yeah, you definitely would want to know earnings, right? Because that could tick up volatility, whether good or bad, right? Whether good or bad, volatility just typically ticks up a little bit around earnings. See, Ryan, AVL had a 12.58 special dividend yesterday, explaining it down being, I thought it was just a 2 times leverage. Is AVL, because I don't do those yield max things. I don't trade AVL personally. Is it a yield max, I guess, since it paid a dividend? Right? That would make sense. So is it like a double leverage yield max? I have to find out a little bit more about AVL. 78 and rising here. Roger, where you at? In Florida? You in Florida? Because I'm jealous if you're in Florida. I wish it was 78 degrees here. We're not doing too bad. I think it's about maybe 50 or 60. AVL 2 times leverage. And what was the special dividend about? Interesting. That's interesting. I'll have to look into AVL a little bit. You stealing all our snow. We have nothing here. Ski Hill's supposed to be open. Jazz, where you at? Where you at, Jazz? Oh, you in Arizona, Roger. Hey, Alfreda's in Florida. Roger's in Arizona. Man, when it gets a little colder, I might have to come and visit y'all. I do not like the cold. If I'm not snow skiing, I don't want to be cold. That's just my motto in life. And then, yes, I'm a very good snow skier. My mom's a ski instructor, right? Let's get to it. So earnings, we already covered that. We're going to cover the stocks individually. Micron, Broadcom, Oracle yesterday, right? Now, look at this. Dow jumped 600 points to record as Oracle sparks rush out of the AI trade into broader market, right? Let's be honest about something. That VectorVest composite jumping up, hit a new high. Tells me a whole lot more than just the Dow Jones up 600 points, right? Yeah, so small cap, pretty much anything other than AI related, probably doing a little bit better today, right? Maybe in the second half, some of those AI stocks not doing too bad. Come out to the west and get real snow. Oh, it's always out west. She's a ski instructor in Colorado, in Granby at Winter Park. So I know about that real snow. I'm going to try to get out there in March, actually, for my birthday, somewhere around then. Wanted to go skiing in Michigan soon. They got ski slopes in Michigan? I didn't know that. Well, North Carolina, obviously we don't have the best weather, but we do have the luck of having the highest mountains on the East Coast, right? So we've got some mountains here, West Virginia. Up in Vermont, I've skied as well. Some good skiing up there. Breckenwoods, I think. Breckenwoods. It's been a while since I've been up there, but really, I love skiing. All right. This Roger's in New York City. All right. Look, I love it when I hear from where everyone is from watching this. It's just so cool. All right. Dow Jones market saying, waking up AI may not be the safest, right? Especially if you're in the core weave. And I'll call out core weave, some of those other way overvalued speculative. I get the future revenue, but there's some risk involved with that, right? There's some risk involved with those type of stocks. And we're going to go over those stocks. I want the risky ones. I want the ones that are giving you a headache, right? The ones that are overvalued. We're going to talk about them. Something else, though. Home prices go negative for the first time in over 2 years, right? Been talking about this a little bit. No, I don't see housing crash, but no, it's got to slow down. It's just like the stock market, right? When a stock takes off, it's got to take a breather, right? Gotta let the technicals take a breather. Well, in this case, got to let people's income match the houses, right? Match the, only risky stocks will make you a millionaire. Depends how much money you're starting out with, right? Ology, how much money. Yeah, if you're younger, lower risk, yeah, you might take on that risk, right? And I get it. If you're older and you're sitting on a bunch of core weave, you just gotta ask yourself if you know the technicals and you got the discipline to stay on the right side of that, right? Because I've been talking about descending channel. So again, just an example, but you've been holding core weave since the top of the descending channel. Yeah, small risk are good. I don't doubt that. All right, so let's talk about Broadcom real quick. Oracle revenue below estimates. The only thing I saw as far as Oracle is that there's a type of revenue that can't be calculated yet. And that revenue is up like 400%, right? But either way, I'm going to stick to the VectorVest software on this, right? All right, so let's take a look. Broadcom scheduled to announce Q4 earnings, right? Thursday after the bell. EPS, $1.87. 31% growth year over year alongside revenue, $17.46 billion. Broadcom has a strong record of outperforming expectations, right? I talked about this. The TPU. That day you did not help me with MBIS core weeology. We're going to talk about both of them. It is overextended already. Let's talk about this. The only thing they got going for them is the Google TPUs, right? Google TPUs. You can see, look, poised for another bullish catalyst, blah, 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 right? Oracle bringing some value back to the reality of the stock market, right? I think that was a little bit of a wake-up call. And where was it? Right, okay. However, Broadcom faces valuation risk, right? Trading at 45 times forward PE, driven by AI momentum, right? Again, some of these stocks just turn into momentum trades, right? They really just turn into momentum. The easiest way to become a millionaire is to start out with $1 billion. Especially if you're going to trade risky stocks, right? Again, I'm not, I'm holding a DOE option. Clearly, I like some risk, right? My option, we're up 52% today. Still in my trade, right? As long as you stay disciplined, right? You know what I mean? I don't like trading online. I very rarely do it. But figure I'd share that with you guys because I am expecting a little bit of a late day rally. I got my stop, and my stop is about a 40% profit right now. So I just keep ratcheting that stop up, right? I won't be in stocks if I had $1 billion already. Ology, I probably wouldn't be either. I'd probably be sitting on a yacht somewhere if I had $1 billion in the bank, just collecting interest. If I was trading, it'd probably just be for fun, right? Oracle, I don't trust them anymore. That CEO is no good. So this is what I'm talking about, just the valuation, right? Valuation. Talked about it. I forgot which live stream, to be honest. But the video's coming soon. And VectorVest or not, my safest, my top picks for semiconductors 2026 is still going to be NVIDIA, Taiwan Semi, Micron, right? So that's just my opinion, right? Oracle, we're going to take a look at Oracle. I know someone mentioned it last time. I didn't really, I don't ever talk about Oracle, but definitely noticed the overvalued content of it. All right, let's get rid of these here. Boom, boom, boom. Go to software. Let's talk about these stocks real quick. Earnings. And then after these stocks, we're going to go to those risky stocks, right? And after the risky AI stocks, because again, I'm going to help you make sure you're not trading on emotions, make sure the trade, make sure the chart makes sense, right? Oracle, still hovering over 10% here. Micron down 2%, Broadcom down 1.65. They still have buy ratings, right? They're still in an uptrend. RT's above 1. Oracle, no, right? But look at the value divided by price, right? Broadcom, 0.6, overvalued, right? Oracle, overvalued, right? That is my concern. And I've been pretty open on the channel, and I'll be open about this. My cousin, who I've talked about a lot, respects his opinion on semiconductors, and I'll put it like this. The guy dropped out of senior college because he was on like the 10th dimension. It was way too smart. He dropped out. Now he's doing real good, right? So when it comes to chart analysis, I'll stick to my opinion. But when it comes to technology, the AI space, since he does work for one of the top fintech companies out there, he's saying that a lot of these companies, and I actually checked on some stuff. The AI is BS, essentially poopy, as Glenn would say, right? And Weeble, I'll call out Weeble. I looked at their AI summary today. It was a stupidest summary that made no sense, right? It made no sense. Everyone's just trying to throw AI on there. Because obviously that lures investors, gets money, gets the stock going, right? So just be careful. Don't fall for these traps. Don't fall for the traps, right? I know some of those might just, show up good momentum trade opportunities. Mike here from Lindsay, Ontario, Canada. Lots of great skiing up here, Ryan, but it's cold. You lost me at cold. No, you didn't lose me at cold. I have not skied Canada. I've been up there quite a few times. I love Canada. I'm a big hiker, backpacker. I'm telling you right now, one of the most beautiful places, probably, if not the most beautiful place I've ever been, and I want to go back, is Banff. You just fly into Calgary, get on the highway, head to the mountains. It don't really matter where you end up. It's all going to be some of the most beautiful area you've ever seen, right? Whistler. Okay, look, we got a bunch of skiers here. Maybe we should start a skiing channel. Just kidding. All right, so my concern here, right? Look at Micron, undervalued, right? Let's add some stocks here. Let's add my old TSM. Let's add, NVIDIA, right? Let's add these two, right? These are the, you might be swing trading them, you might be doing whatever, but for a lot of people, these are core holdings, right? These are core holdings, right? If I'm going to have core holdings, I want that undervalued, right? I want that undervalued, right? Yeah, so these little dips here, I would trust the undervalued ones more than the overvalued dips, right? Being Oracle and Broadcom. Now we can add, a lot more stocks here, but you're getting the point of what I'm saying, right? And, I love AMD. It may not be the best time to be in it, and it's not going to be one of my top semiconductors of 2026. Well, let me do some research before I say that. I love Lisa Su. I mean, she took out Intel, no problem. Look at AMD here. Still overvalued ever since the ChatGPT deal, right? Ever since that, they put the AI name on there. Overvalued, right? So no. And it hasn't really done much since it's jumped up. It's kind of wiggled around, right? That's why I've been talking about Micron. I try to talk about where the opportunities are, not where you're just going to sit and, your money just sit there for a little bit, right? Well, look at this. Old QQQ is starting to run. Let's just take a look at this. A little back half rally I was expecting here. My trade's up 67% now, right? Let's go to 1 day. And this chart might look messy. Yep, there you go. There's consolidation. Boom, boom, boom. There's the head fake. Off to the races. I like it. I'm going to hold on to it. Why not? Great skiing in Austria. Galaxy. Just let me get back to the viewers here. My sister and her husband were going to go to Zermatt. Is that Austria? Or Zermatt? One of those beautiful skiing areas in the Swiss Alps. Let me know, Galaxy. I think it's Zermatt. They're doing a helicopter drop-in thing, but it got canceled. It was post-COVID, so you know how that went with trying to make vacation plans, right? All right, let's get ready. But you see the point I'm trying to make with the semiconductor space, right? You see that point. So let's get out of this. Or actually, we don't even have to empty that. We'll just do news for today. We'll do it on the news. All right, give me, why is AMD a hold? Because it doesn't meet the criteria for a buy. If I had to guess, maybe the RT might be below 1. Or might not be diverging away from that stop price either. Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's just lost momentum, not diverging from the stop price. Nothing crazy. All right. Yeah, air is out of AMD. That's what I'm saying. I haven't done an AMD video in a while. Even though I love Lisa Su, I'm not just gonna tell you AMD just to say, hey, AMD. Look at that. Bag. 102. 102%. We're gonna let that sucker ride. Y'all bringing me good luck on this live stream. Let me know when I should sell. How about this? I'm going to sell it when y'all tell me to sell the Q contract. Zermatt. Yes. And if I butchered that, I apologize. I am from the South. They showed me some photos when they were planning that trip. Man, maybe I should talk to them. We should plan another trip. My trading goes good. Might have to go do a helicopter drop out there, right? You ain't treating yourself good after you have some wins in the market. That's another thing. What are you trading for, right? What are you trading for if you ain't, going to celebrate some of those wins, right? Air is out of AMD. All right, this is what I want. I want the speculative. Let's just put in the core weave, the AI. I want all your bad AI. The more overvalued, the better, right? Core weave, Big Bear AI. We put that one in there. NBIS. Let's give me the speculative stocks. We're going to get to some other holdings soon. CN. Which one is that? Hey, SMR, the uranium, that's a good one right there. Give me the uranium too, because I know a lot of that stuff's overvalued. So I've said it actually like within the last week. Data Vault, perfect example. I bought it on the dip, the MTI dip. I think it was the first, second green line, like $1.50, $1.60. It was actually on a live stream. I think a Wednesday live stream, if I'm not mistaken. Where was I going with that? Trade the chart, not your heart. It was showing me a head and shoulders pattern. So I got out, like 212 maybe? And I see it back down to 145. And guess what? Now I got, only about 100 shares, maybe $70 worth of profit there. Oh, yeah, I'm going to put it in Data Vault at some time. Maybe. Or UAMY. Right? All right, I'm going to go through these stocks here. SMR. I'm not going to police them. So please, if it's not overvalued, if it's not, meet what we're talking about, I'm just going to skip it. Otherwise, on the next round, I'll take whatever. RKLB. Good one. What did I miss here? Data Vault. Meiji. Okay, got that one. Applied Science. Sound. Hey, Sound's a perfect example. Hey, all that momentum from the NVIDIA news, if you didn't take some profit on that, I don't tell you. It's getting a little wobbly in the Qs here. Hey, that's pretty good, though. Let's see here. 80% today. It's getting a little wobbly. I'm going to let go here soon. GPUS. Yeah, GPUS is another one. I know that one. The value's been dropping. I think the price has been dropping, if I remember correctly here. GPUS. MP. That's why I like UAMY. And you see how that pick has gone over MP this year. It's been pretty good. Palantir. Hecla is not in the category. All right. We got 17. This is a good one to start out with. And look at this. Let's just see if we make the point here. Hyperscale data. We'll take a look at it because I know it's still speculative. I see here ANET might be one. ACMR. Which one is this? All right. BE. Galaxy, remind me of that one. I just want to keep the idea together, right? Right now, we're talking about overvalued stocks. We're going to talk about opportunities here. We're going to talk about opportunities because I think there's still going to be opportunities. Think about it. We got QE. We got interest rate cut. There are some underlying concerns, but overall, markets look good, right? GPUS. That's what I'm saying. Values dropping, prices. No. I can't. Look at this. Value pricing drop. 200. If you're in it, I'd like to see the value move. I mean, I don't know what price you bought it for. Because this was clearly the move here. IonQ is another good one. You definitely don't want to know my cousin's perspective on most quantum stocks. Not all, but most quantum initiatives. Let's see here. TNA. GPUS. The valuation. That was the opportunity. It's gone. Manage the risk now. Right? Honestly, if you're gonna. Yeah, this is the heavy resistance here, which is right at our support. Around 70 cents. Right now it's at 28 cents, right? So if you do get a move to the upside, maybe look around 70 cents, and then the stock will be overvalued. But the valuation is declining. TNA small cap, 3 times bull. I think it's a perfect opportunity for that. This is actually a really good one. So if you don't already know about this ETF, might be good. And this is going to be, think about it, it's triple leverage, right? It's going to be more of a swing trading opportunity, right? I'd use a 3 and 6 here. Okay, I got 3, 6 little ones. The 8 here looks like a good accumulation. You see 8, the candlesticks accumulation right at the 8, right? So just looking at this, looking at the run, I'm looking at the Sorry. GPUS will become a short squeeze. I could see that. TNA, this looks good. You know, accumulation around the 8, and honestly, since we just got to break out from these, you might come back and retest it. And if that 8 comes right in this with about $50, you know, 50 and some change, might not be a bad retest level. Otherwise, if you're going to chase the momentum, do it appropriately, right? You know, you've done swing trading before. If you need some help, we do have a swing trading group coaching with Jerry. And trust me, I'm not just some, you know, wizard. I learned from Jerry. I learned from Steve. I learned from Dr. David Paul. I learned from Dr. Toledo. That's who taught me how to trade. Of course, I, you know, spiced it up a little bit because I'm young. And I like options. But other than that, you know, we still have the same principles. Marvel. Let's look at Marvel here. I'm going to say Marvel, you know, it's kind of going up in tangent with the valuation, right? Just naturally trades at a premium. I do like the fact that it broke this 200-day. So even though Marvel, and it's coming back to its valuation, right? But again, why would I want to get into a fairly valued Marvel when I've got companies like NVIDIA and TSM trading at such discounts right now? I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to let you answer that question, right? Only you know what you're about to do. Here we go. Electronic semiconductor. Oh, this is a perfect example. Whoever gave me this one, you know, the opposite point I was trying to make, right? Here's value, right? Value just trickling along, and look at the opportunity. Here's the value opportunity, right? It looks kind of like what Micron doing, but you know, Micron's still rocking and rolling on its valuation, right? So this is exactly why I like, you know, undervalued stocks. And right now it's still fairly valued, right? You see the pivot on the 200. That's where we're getting most of this momentum. We filled the gap here. Let's look at RT. Actually, let's look at RT. I got RSI here. RSI is at 80, so I'm not going to be a buyer of it right now, especially as a short-term buyer. If you're an investor, still looks good overall. I would be more of it on the tiptoe side of things rather than loading in right now. Just because I think it's a little overstretched, not by much. You know, I think it gets back down to 35, maybe 36. But anything much less than that, especially, let's just do this. I need it to hold above 33. 33.9, we'll just call it 34. I need it to hold above this gap fill because the last thing I want is just the traders, and again, because traders can ruin investors for people. That cup and handle coming into fruition on the Huey. We're going to take a look at that, Alex. I'll put that right here. Huey is how VectorVest tracks the gold a lot. Oh, yeah, I can see it right here. Well, tonight's video's got Micron and gold, so Alex making my point here. You know, I like the charts. I like the fundamentals of the gold. It just, you know, why stress yourself out with harder trades? But this one here, it doesn't look bad at all. I mean, it's fairly valued. I'm not going to put this in the, you know, AI bubble realm by any means. But I do want it to stay above 33 because right now I see a pivot and a gap fill. Right now we're at the top of that gap fill with the RSI of 80, right? So traders' perspective, we get quick rejection here. We can get quick rejection, right? And you can see that rejection was trying to come today, right? Oracle giving it a good reason to reject, but hey, I like that full body. No real concerns here. Back to a buy rating. Here's a steel alloy company. It's just going up with its value. Let's look at the long-term value perspective here. It just goes up with its valuation. But you can see anytime, look at this, undervalued, boom, races right back up. When it's overvalued, especially when it gets really stretched here, it can come back. Right now, it's getting a little stretched, right? Now let's look at the short term here. Short term, RSI is in the middle, right? So I can still big day to the updated day. Clearly, just breaking this bad boy. If I just use a freehand line, you can see the resistance in play here. As long as we open above, or you know, stay above this by the end of today, which I'd be shocked if we did it. But look at that. It's breaking that trend line too. That looks good. Yes, it is overvalued. You know, this actually is the dip opportunity. You see the 40 here. Nice retest. We'll see what happens. CRS has been a nice one for me with selling options too. Okay. But just overall, price action, lower left, upper right. From a trader's perspective, I see the opportunity From an investment perspective, I don't know. I'll say this, right? If I'm going to buy a stock and I already have the intentions of holding it for the long term, maybe a year or two, whatever it may be, depends on what the price does, right? I want to think the first question I ask myself is this: do I think in the next year I can get a better price on that stock, right? If I think I can, maybe I just take a nibble today, right? Because obviously in the back of my head, I'm thinking there's something on the chart that says, hey, maybe I get a better deal for the next year, right? Yeah, it's not always guaranteed, by all means. Like this one here, let's just see this. I want to see if this retested. It didn't retest from this prior swing high here. So maybe after this little trade fund is over, it might come down to retest this level. And if value keeps rising, this comes back down, you're a little bit more fairly valued, right? Maybe wait for the 200 MA. Yeah, that's a good example too. You know, very good example, right? You can see it comes back down to 200 every so often, right? And this is more of a long-term perspective, right? And I'm just saying that because lower left, upper right, values rising. And if we switch it here, we can switch it to a VectorVest simple. All right, 106%. What do you guys think? Should I close my QQQ trades? I'm not even gonna look at the chart. What do y'all think? We think we marching higher? You think we marching higher? But yeah. And see here. If you ever want to add a 200-day moving average, right? Simple. You gotta be careful on that 200-day though, because if it breaks it, it can go down quite a bit, right? We'll do single. Let's do that. We'll look at the 200 on these charts. Yeah, a lot of people look for entries on the retest of the 200. Sometimes that makes sense. You know, I'm not going to say I've never done that before. Ollie G says, get out. Man, Ollie G, I'm not worried about some tweets, man. Come on now. We'll see. All right, let me just get ready to close it. Where are we at now? But look at, we want to say above that 200 here. Where's the 200? Ooh, look at the 200 making its way in, right? If I had to guess, again, I don't have no crystal ball. I'd say the traders take it in the short term. This little 200 probably makes its way back up around the swing high, and that might be the next pivot. I know, that's just a guess. There's a guess. If it comes to fruition, I probably won't look at that stock, but if that happens, please let me know, because that would be cool. So here's a net, right? Right around the 200 day. Let's look at value. Way overvalued, right? Right now, all I'm seeing is a 200-day pivot. And I'll be honest, unless we get above this swing low here, which we're stopping at right now, I'm not going to get too convinced on the second half of this move. That's around 136. Rising earnings per share. Price is rising. But look, the value, 95, trading at 134. Trading at a premium, right? Trading at a premium. Not necessarily a bad thing. Just trading at a premium. RT close to positive. Okay, yeah, so if it breaks above this, right, and RT gets above 1, that would give us some confirmation to the upside, right? I kind of like that. It's not a bad one. It's not a bad one at all. Sienna. Maybe I should see. I like it. Sienna is just diverging away. Like, I mean, you can see it, right? I'm going to tell you right now. If it breaks this trend line, no man's land. And look at this. Look at that stop price. Look at the VectorVest software. Putting the stop price right at the trend line, almost going up in tangent with it. That's it. That's all. That's, you know, and you know, my first warning, you know, again, I don't know if you're trading or investing. I'd look for retest here. But if this breaks, I'm looking at this trend line with this stop price here. The 200 days so far away. That's actually where our valuation is. So, you know, again, this is one of those stocks. Don't let, you know, the stock price and, you know, was this fiber optics? Hey, I did a video on fiber optics, so it was a while ago. So if you're up at big in this, I'm not saying you'll go out and sell it, but definitely this trend line, just easy, effective way, right? And if you got a, you know, trailing stop, whatever it may be, also effective. But this is very effective, very simple, very effective, right? Data Vault. Put y'all on something real quick. See if I see it. Yep. Look at this consolidation, right? So this is why I would sell my Q call to finish the day, right? Look at this consolidation. Boop, 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 boop. because I'm running out of theta. If you know options, you know what that is. So I'm expecting a big pop here, hopefully, right? If we get a big pop, my contracts, I bought under $1. I'll sell them over $2. We'll call it a day, right? So put y'all on something. That's what I'm looking at this afternoon, right? So let's get back to this. Data Vault, look at this. Shoulder, head, shoulder. Do not let the trade become emotional. Now, if value would have held, or if, instead of dropping, if it would have rose to $1.50, maybe I would have kept it on the head and shoulders, right? But I don't fall in love with the stock. I trade the chart, right? Glenn tells us. Earnings per share, look, we could get a turnaround story. This thing was negative $6. It's $1. So much pressure. Honestly, I'm looking at the 200, but the valuation falling, that's my biggest concern right now. It's my biggest concern. Not necessarily price, because I'm not in it, right? I want that value to rise for my long term. All right, let's do this. Let's shave some profits here. I got 4 of those contracts. I'm going to sell 2. How about that? Tiptoe out. So you get to see it trading in real time today. Oh, well, chasing. It's jumping up. Look at that. There's the jump. Look at this. You guys act like I'm, just printing money right now. I'm going to sell 2 of these contracts. Boom. Sold. I got 2 more. Hope y'all are making money today. That's what it's about. All right. SMR. Sell on the high. Right. Hey, Alex, that's always the goal. Buy the low, sell the high. And if that is not your basic principle of investing, that should be your principle, whether it's stocks or anything, real estate, you buy low, sell high. It doesn't matter. That's the only way to make money, right? Yeah, the NASDAQ's moving up, Bill. I told you, look for that late day rally, guys. Look for that late day rally. As far as names, me personally, I'd stay away from the, speculative AI stuff, at least until Broadcom hopefully gives some good news. Otherwise, gold's moving, solids, valued semis. All right, let's talk about SMR. All right, look at this. May 2025. Obviously we had tariffs here. Look at this run, right? Well, what happened? Uranium, AI data centers, small modular reactors, all over the news, right? The value trickled up a little bit. Earnings per share looking a little bit better. Let's switch back to this one here. I'm actually going to take off a lot of these technicals. I'll keep a couple. I got the 200, the 40, and the 20, right? Look at this. SMR, look at the pivot. You got a pivot here from swing low. Now you got to pivot from the top of the 20-day EMA, right? You're stuck in between these two. I'm not going to make much of a decision before that, but I will say this. Don't get emotional because this sucker is overvalued. And, let's just call it a spade, right? It's AI, data center, speculation, hype, that, whatever. Look at that. I'm an SMU, bought the dip. All right. There is one more bullish thing pushing the market than bearish. Doesn't make sense for it to drop today. Oracle is not the whole AI space. No, it's not. Why do you think I took advantage of the Q dip? Right? Why did I take advantage of the Q dip? All right, let's take a look at some more of these. SMR, but again, down here is no man's land, right? You're just being pinched between some moving averages and a prior level support. See what the breakout does, but don't ride the sucker all the way to our valuation, and then, we're getting a deal on it. Let the stocks come to you. Here's MP, right? Look at the value. Look at the traders. They baked so much, rare news into this stock. It's ridiculous. Trust me. I follow the rare earths. I like a good rare earth story. Good article, critical minerals, whatever it may be. But the premium's baked in, way baked in. And look at the 200. I can already tell you, if it drops down 200, you got a nice level of support here. You got a little gap fill, a lot of reasons for a good pivot to the upside after that. But right now, I'm just not too sold on it. Here's Big Bear AI. Look at it. Let's just continue the lines. If you haven't seen this is a perfect swing trading stock. Oh, look at old value here. Jumped up a little bit recently. What the value doing, right? This is just none of this price movement here has to do with the company's fundamentals. No. It's just technical, candy land, right? I made some videos on some of these trades. If you took some of the trades, it's just been an easy trade. But look at this. Your profits or your losses, it's just getting tighter and tighter, right? Right now, I'm not going to be trading this. It's too much. And personally, it's just overvalued. I wouldn't be surprised eventually it made its way down. I don't know, right? We'll see. That's why I trade the chart. Other than that, it's just speculation. But VectorVest, sales growth rate went negative. Growth rate and earnings went negative. So no. Yeah, trade the news. Exactly. Yep. But so, if you're a swing trader and you played around with Big Bear AI, hey, I'm letting you know right now, probably not a good idea. Because you probably get, unless we get a clear breakout, you might play some quick momentum. But I have a feeling this is going to get a little choppy and a little bit harder to play, right? But yeah, that 200-day moving average here, you see, right at the bottom. And yeah, I don't know. It's getting a little choppy right now. I like trades that just, make sense and make money, right? This one made a lot of sense back here when I was doing the videos, but now I was a little bit tighter, right? See what other opportunities there are. But it's overvalued, way overvalued. and the forecasted data is negative and falling, right? So I'm not going to, I've done videos on it. I like Big Bear AI. I like what they do. But you can tell the traders have just pushed it to, astronomical levels, right? If they come out with some big news, big government contract, put the name NVIDIA or Chat GPT in there, yeah, it's probably going to jump, right? Let's not be surprised. Let's not be shocked by that. Bloom Energy Corp, way overvalued. You can already see that. So we're going to trade the chart. RT's losing momentum. You know why it's losing momentum in sense of direction? Because it's getting ping-ponged around. And you might just we're looking for a breakout here, right? Look at RT. As soon as we got in this, chart pattern, as soon as the run was done and we entered this little chart pattern here, look what RT started to do. Nice run. RT well above 1. But as soon as we entered this chart pattern, we got wobbly, right? A little wobbly. So the RT crossing above 1, and yeah, that looks good. But I want that RT stay above 1, and I'd like a breakout above this trend line, right? But now as far as valuation, growth rate, 36%, sales growth rate, 57%. I can't be mad at it, right? But this is a chart pattern here. This looks like just a little ascending channel. Actually, what do you call it when it separates and volatility ticks up? You see this when it separates? See there? And volatility just ticks up. I got to fix my lines here. Because nice channels, these lines would be parallel, right? Nice smooth bounce. You'll bounce around, but you'll be nice smooth. But this one, as it moving up, it's getting more and more volatile, right? I don't like that. No. This one's tough. I'm not gonna lie. I'll put a line right here. Because that's the appropriate retest, which we're doing. And we'll see. But I wanted to stay above this line here, and that's going to be, what, 98.44? 98.44. All right. Let's see what old Nibius is doing. Oh, look. The ascending channel. Right? I'm putting Palantir category. The valuation, no, I'm not. Just not much good to say there, right? Now I know, and I need to do another video. I know Nibius and Corey, some of those others got a whole lot of projects and a lot of revenue expected. But again, that revenue ain't collected yet, right? Things can go wrong. Maybe they have problems trying to get contracts. Whatever it may be. That's all speculation. But you know what the chart's telling me? We're in an ascending channel, Ryan. As long as it rides the ascending channel, it's okay. And if it breaks this ascending channel, no man's land, right? Like Palantir. Who knows what would happen with it, right? So if it breaks this ascending channel and you're in it, just know you've entered no man's land. The 200-day, yeah, if it breaks it, probably going to look towards the 200-day. Clearly, I got some support lines down here, which 200 days getting close to. Actually, I do like here? I'm going to put you all on some. Look at this. 200-day just entered this gap here, which we have not filled yet. Interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, PE is 100 for NBIS. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't give me the fundamental case because it's not here, right? You're in speculation land. As long as I'm in this ascending channel, I'm not gonna have that much concerns about speculation land, right? Once I break this, I'd probably look closer to this 200. We got a gap to fill. It's just my 2 cents. Not saying we're going to break it, but just in case we do, that's essentially what I would expect. Core weave, I mean, the descending channel. I mean, look at this descent. Look at the bottom of this descending channel. You see this line here has been pretty important, right? I don't know if we're going to get this. This is so much of a drop. I would highly, if it ever went down to $12.86, I'll tell you right now, I probably, and if they still had their Microsoft contract, I'd empty my savings and buy it. And that's not a lie. If they still had that Microsoft, I'd be willing to take that bet. Up here, a little bit hard, right? 200 day, where's the 200 at? We don't have a 200 day. Interesting. So we're going to rely off the 20 and 40. Bloom has 1600 PE. That's what, just be careful with some of these stocks, just because it's going up doesn't mean it's worth it, right? That's the retail traders, right? People like me who are just trading this stuff, right? You got to ask yourself, did retail traders just push my long-term investment to my goal 2 years early or whatever time frame early, right? Because if they did, taking some profits because the traders pushed up the stock, not a bad idea. Core weave, I'm seeing that here. I do like this pivot still. And my goal was about $90 because you see this prior swing low and you see rejection. We don't get the act together on core weave. That was the trade I talked about. You went from $64 on a low to roughly 90 here at the high. That's 50%, or close to it, right? A couple weeks. That's the opportunity I see here. Otherwise, pressure on, sales growth rate is dry. It's still phenomenal. It's just a valuation, right? Everyone, Microsoft deal, right? So what happened? Stock shot up. And then shortly after, nothing good, right? Nothing good. So right now, I just see the trade opportunity. Right now, we're just seeing if we can hit the next leg of that trade opportunity, right? Not quite rejection yet, but we've hit the first target. All right, here's old Palantir. And no shocker. Look at this. Ooh, is it back in the channel? Right at the bottom of it. Right? Look at this. Close to the 200. I'm not surprised that investors came in early, scooped it up right before the 200. Wouldn't have been a bad move on it. But look at the valuation here. This is the thing about Palantir. The growth rate looks nice, 24 sales growth, but just the valuation, right? And I'll give you my cousin's opinion of this. He absolutely loves Palantir, the company. I told you, he's a tech guy. He said Palantir ain't going nowhere. There's too much integration with Palantir. Very important. But he also acknowledged that the company being overvalued, right? And he's not a trader like me. He owns a lot of semis, but solely because he's in that business. I like the stock. Again, this is what I'm talking about. No man's land. You got to ask yourself. It went right to my little support zone here. That's nice. That was kind of prior consolidation. Yeah, Palantir, the technicals is back above the 20, back above the 40. It looks like it's entering the channel again, so I'm not going to be too concerned. Look at RT, back above 1 here, right? There was a sell recommendation here on Palantir for 1 day, 2 days, right? And luckily, the bulls came right back in. Burry still shorting it. I don't know. I don't know if he's still shorting it, right? 435 PE Palantir, right? I'm telling you, it is known to the world Palantir is overvalued. On that, make your own decision, right? It is known to the world that they're overvalued. And like I said with my cousin, they've got some really important technology. That's probably why it's trading at a premium. It's probably why the U.S. government wants them so much, right? PLT is a short for me too. I don't know if it's hard. If I see some rejection at the bottom of this channel here in the coming days, maybe I feel more comfortable. But I'm not going to bet against Palantir, just from what I've seen. Let's see here. Soundhound. Let's see. Those option contracts still just twiddling around. We're at 211 right now. Let's see. Maybe the next move, I'll take the rest of the profit. All right, here's Soundhound. You want to hear about Soundhound? Those little jump here in the beginning of the chart. What was that? It was NVIDIA, right? They made a partnership with NVIDIA. All the potential. Looks like it was baked in right off the news, right? Stock's done a whole lot of nothing since then. Even off the 200, maybe a little pivots here, a little swing trade. But valuation, growth rate actually just went negative. Sales growth rate falled. See here, it was climbing. This looked pretty good. I could get okay. They got NVIDIA partnership. May not be the best timing. RT's below 1. But the sales growth rate just dropped and earnings growth rate just went negative. No, it's a speculative bet. I'd stick to the technicals. And yeah, I see the trade opportunities that present themselves there. And look at this one, old Apollo. Let's just Applied Digital. Let's just scroll this forward here to the T. To the T on this. These little trend lines here, even though they get broken in the past, trust me, they don't lose their relevance in the future. That's a lot of I trade is trend lines mixed with our market timing signals, RT, things like that. And just the guidance that, Steve Chappell and Jerry has given me. All right. Looks like the market broke that 625 level in the Qs. I like that here. All right. Let's see what else we got. What time is it? 2:51. We got to jump through these. Oh, shoot. Meiji. I will say broke through the 200, 40, 20. I like the follow through session highs. Clearly, this is a swing trade, right? You see the last trade here. Freehand. Look at this. Boom. What is that? You don't know what it is? Maybe Google it, right? Boom. Look at that. Broke to the bottom. Didn't even look for the 200 for support, really. 2 candlesticks and dropped right through it. I'm not going to be a chaser of that one. If you want to, there's the intraday. You see the 200. See if it gets back down to the 200. Honestly, you ain't got much time left in the day either. So, oh shoot! I close out of the charts. Oh man, let's get through the. Yeah, if you have 100 shares, you can sell, cover, call it against it, or protective put, depending on which way you're thinking going. Me personally, like with Data Vault, some of the others, some of these speculative stocks, if I do like, get into a long-term stock I believe in, I at least want 100 shares, right? I can sell calls against it. Been telling y'all, I'm waiting on UAMY to do that, right? See here, Oklo, we passed one, right? There's Meiji. Look at the upper wicks forming. Be careful. You see this big upper wick here? What happened last time I broke 200? Clear break. Near session highs. I'm not in here for the fundamentals. You got to see what the news was on this. And actually, I'm just curious. Oh yeah, look at that break right through that trend line. It might continue its momentum. I'd use like a 3 and 8 on the upside, or even maybe a trend line, just simple trend line. Stay above the trend on the next time, right? There we go. Might. Target hit 626. What time is it? 2:53. All right. Oklo. Let's see what Oklo is doing. Overvalued once again. Right. There's the run. Value's moving to the upside, but not nearly as fast. There's a support. There's rejection at the 40 and 20. Either if I break this support, I'd get defensive. If I break that 40, might get another leg up, right? But this, actually, look at this. I talked about this little guy. Look at this. Shoulder, head, shoulder, right? Be careful with Oklo. Trade the chart, not your heart. Rocket Lab. Oh, it's rocketing. I talked about this earlier this week. SpaceX. The whole putting data centers in space. Think about it. If the data centers work in space, right? There's only a few rocket companies that can get the stuff up there. This being one of them, right? With the partnership with SpaceX. And no, I'm not going to go off the valuation because you can see, way above our valuation. I do see the potential with Rocket Lab. Right now, I'd stick to the technicals, right? Because the sucker went from $40 to $60. So you're up 50%, or at least the stock is up 50% last week, right? One basic question. Why data centers? What is the big deal? Why sudden hype to data centers? I would say data is the new bullet, is the new ammunition. I almost put, I've said this before, it's been a long time. I'd put NVIDIA right up there in the defense category, right? Because, let's be honest here, no one's going to be challenging our carrier fleet, right? But if you can hack it, well, you don't have to build a fleet of carriers, right? So whoever controls the data, whoever's most advanced, leading that charge, which we are right now, clearly with the help of NVIDIA for sure, we're gonna stay on top, right? That's why I think it's so important. Data centers. Yeah, AI systems require a lot of data. But we're only entering the very beginning. Now we're getting to the inference stage. All right, we went through these. Obviously got the point. Stick to the charts, not your hearts. A lot of those stocks overvalued. And the ones that were undervalued or rising with value looked a lot better than the ones that were overvalued for the most part, right? For the most part. I know Rocket Lab's a little different because it's got some SpaceX hype right now. All right. Who wants to give me some stocks? We got a couple minutes. Let's just do 5 stocks. Cross 5 stocks. Any 5 stocks you want. We're not going to go off the likes today. If you are reviewing gold tonight, take a look at BTG for a gold play. Let me write that one down. My pen, BTG. All right, let's get the first 5 here. IESC, FNMA, ETHT, EGO, WLDN. Why so many data centers? Has no one listened to Jensen Huang? I mean, he's made it very clear. We're going to need so many more data centers than we have, right? But the thing is, and one of my concerns going forward, my cousin also talked about this, is, like the TPU, for example, right? What happens 10 years from now, 15 years from now, whatever it may be, when there is a computer chip that is just so much more advanced, so much more energy efficient, we might not need all these data centers, right? But right now they're racing. They're racing because no one really knows, right? Technology is going to change so quickly over the next 10, 15 years. And yeah, they need them. And they need more and more and more and more and more data centers, right? Data centers have really, data centers aren't a new thing by any means. Bill, who said so? I don't know. I know my cousin believes that, and he like I said, he did physics. I don't know the physical, the physics behind all that stuff. Future of data center is in space. I could see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that too, Bill. It's just logical. You need these data centers, right? You think you're trying to build a computer that can think not just like a human, but way faster, and that's one reason why I like Micron, the inferencing part of that, right? And Micron, they're building a $100 billion plant over the next, 10 years, 15 years, something like that. There's only going to be more and more chips. And when NVIDIA can't fill the void or fill the demand, guess what? That's when some of these other companies start taking some of the space. AMD being one of them, right? I've said AMD doesn't have to be NVIDIA. They just have to stay in the race a little bit. All right, so let's look at these. Buy, there's the one sell. Ethereum, interesting. Value, all undervalued. I'm going to like that out of the gate. See the industries here. Auto fit, mining at the top of the list. Maintenance, building, heavy construction. Okay, infrastructure plays, gold and silver at the top. Nice. Relative safety, all above 1. Relative value, all above 1. Ethereum, poop in the bed, looks like. All right, let's look at these graphs here. Stocks look good. The ETF Ethereum, obviously that's under pressure. Cryptos are under pressure. I made a point a couple weeks ago, which might be controversy, but just makes sense. That is China outlawed crypto. So if we do move into a polar, multipolar, whatever it may be, economic system, well, if China's outlawed crypto, it means Doesn't work in that part of the world, right? Or where it's illegal, which makes it a little bit more not investment worthy. All right, Eldorado Gold Corp. I mean, gold. I trust a dip on gold more than I trust a dip on tech right now. You know, maybe I put maybe Micron in that category, but after tonight's video, you'll see why a certain chart pattern fruition has came. All right, but look at this one. Look, value on the rise, price action on the rise. This is what I'll say. If you got a gold stock that don't look like this, price rising, value rising, close to a new high, probably should reassess. Also should have good forecasted data because there's so many of these high quality, gold, silver mining companies. I'd be very picky and very selective. That one looks good. Here's ISC. Look at this. This little value rolling over had me concerned, right? Undervalued, but look, looks like value, looks like price is on to the next stage, right? Oh, I got a liquidation warning on my option. Go here. Of course, I don't have enough money in that account for 200 shares of the Qs. I wish. All right, let's see here. But yeah, value riding this next leg here. I like it. I like it a lot. Hood, we'll look at hood before we leave. Value, look at this. Value, look, overstretched from value, came back in, undervalued, value still rising. Forecasted data, 13, 15% there. Phenomenal. Why overthink? This one here, I don't know what's up with this chart, but let's see what these lines are doing. No, that don't even make sense. Let's not look at that. So just like this one here, see, the value started rolling over, kind of price kind of lost its momentum there. This stock here, the value's rolling over just a tad bit more, so be careful of that. See that value rolling, price dropping, value rolling. Now this little bump we got here is just a 200-day pivot, right? For me to really feel more confident, let's just stay above the 40. And more ideally, we need to break this downtrend in our valuation. I need value, to start taking out, start producing new highs. RT back above 1. I like that. Maybe it is an early trade opportunity, good dip opportunity here. Not bad. Not a bad dip opportunity. With this Federal National Mortgage Association. Interesting. I like it. Honestly, the RT back above 1. And let's see here. Just curious. Nope, not that. Dateline. Let's move in here. I want to touch, and I'll show you exactly what touch I want to feel more confident in this. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. There's the touch. Look at it. See, there's a trend. Broke the trend. Got me a little anchor, right? Not a whole lot of confirmation, a whole lot of momentum there. Let's just stay above the 40. But if I take out today's low, as far from a swing trading perspective, this may not be a long-lasting break. Just a heads up. But if it does stay above there, I do like it. As far as investment, I just want to see that value rise. Ethereum, how long is this? Ooh, there's the cup. There's the handle. It's still handling. No. I'm not going to be bullish on Ethereum right now. I'm not going to be bullish on crypto right now, unfortunately. So, stick to the chart, not your heart when it comes to crypto, especially. I still like some crypto. Just there's a good time to buy it and there's not. Dow Jones, we're still seeing the market broadening. The NASDAQ definitely coming back a little bit here for sure, but still negative. It's Broadcom. That's what we're going to want to pay attention to. I know we've got the daily color guard this afternoon, but after that daily color guard, check out Broadcom's earnings. Just see what happens, see how the market is responding. On that note, I'm going to end the day on a good note because it looks like, the back half of the day definitely finished out the way I had expected. So, hope everyone enjoys your afternoon. Well, oh, that's right. Nope. Hold on, Joey, 1 second. Hood. Forgot. Let's take a look at Hood. No, we're not going to do Broadcom live, unfortunately. Ooh, yeah. Okay. Look at the value on Hood, though, right? Close to value. Yeah, it's run from its value. It almost looks like that 200-day is becoming a little bit more attractive. See what the news is on this. I don't know exactly why it's down, but I'll take a look at Hood a little bit further and see what's going on here. I still like it. Obviously, I think they're an industry disruptor. They've changed the game when it comes to investing in general. They're on the tokenization, which I feel is very forward thinking for financial institution. Just overvalued, right? If we make our way down to that 200, just don't be surprised. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to say it's happening, but don't be surprised. Actually, another one I want to look at, think about overvalued stuff. Netflix, where are you at? 93. Come on to value, baby. Look at that. Told y'all, don't rush into that Netflix one. Let the trade come to you here. But when it gets undervalued, because look how overstretched it was. 130. Evaluation, about $80 here. Value kept rising. They like to meet in the middle somewhere. Well, this one met more on the downside than the middle. Just be careful with this one. You can see the volume ticking up too. Oh, well, never mind. I had the split. So the volume's going to be skewed. I forgot about that split. Yeah, I'd wait on it. Because Netflix has the potential to be a great core holding for the long term, right? So I just, on a core holding, I want a good price as an entry. I want it to be undervalued, preferably. All right, tomorrow, you are coming, Ryan. Netflix suffered on the acquisition. Yes. Tomorrow you are. Yeah, I'll be here for, mobile. Power Hour will be Thad still. All right, everybody. Enjoy your day. Enjoy tonight's video.